Good morning, and as always, thank you very much for joining us. I am Yori Folarin. Ruga settlements. What does it mean to you? Well, that's one that just sort of crept up on us, and most people have been trying to find out what exactly is a Ruga settlement. Okay, so far we've been learning that it's no more than a rural settlement. The name, for colonies of herdsmen, don't even have to be cattle herdsmen, just animal farmers, and their families, nomads generally, in some sort of an organized way. So, but the conversation has been on for quite a while, and not everybody is entirely comfortable with the whole idea of a Ruga settlement. The idea is that there shall be Ruga settlements all over the country where it is acceptable. It's a voluntary program, as Garba Shehu, presidential spokesman, was explaining and was reported yesterday in the papers. As he put it, paraphrasing him now, the Fulanization and Islamization of Nigeria is, quote, simply impossible, unquote, as he referred to what he called unhelpful recent statements made by former President Olusegun Obasanjo. Now, the central plank, I think, of the apprehension over Ruga settlements is going to be something about a lot of people have kicked against, open grazing, while at the same time, the way it is seen is that they are objecting to concrete measures being brought to bear to sort of remove the problem and attendant risks of friction here and there. So, I guess, Garba Shehu did say, I think, that so far 11 states have signed up, to the idea. But then we've been hearing of vehement, almost, opposition to it from other groups. For instance, Middle Belt, let me see now. For instance, the Southern and Middle Belt Leaders Forum have actually said that the idea is repugnant. Ohaneze Indigbo has dismissed the idea out of hand. And indeed, some other organizations, just don't understand, quote unquote, understand the idea as simple as it is to understand, given the explanation that Ruga is no more than a name, it's a rural settlement program, and the federal government, far from pursuing any Islamization or Fulanization agenda, is simply looking to, get the best of two other options. If we're going to be kicking against open grazing, then how is it, no doubt from the view of the federal government, how is it that we're also objecting to a plan to subject, to have some sort of a colony? So that's where we are. Let me just find out. I think they're trying to tell me something. I don't know. Okay, Hajia
Yes.
Osena is on the phone. Good morning, ma'am. Did you want to talk about Ruga settlements? Welcome.
Yes, sir.
Please go ahead.
Please, sir, what I want to say about this Ruga settlement is, you know that the real Nigerian Fulani, those ones that are from our country, they are peaceful ones. But you see, all those ones coming from another country, bringing their cow, their cow, their ram, their goat, everything here. And our people prefer to buy their own. So the Fulanis that are here are like fighting them, as in, why should you come in and you want to take away our business? But mostly people, they will never tell you this part, and you will not understand about this one. Do you understand?
I do, Hajia.
Hajia. You see that they are very rich.
Hajia,
people that, yes?
This Ruga, it's strange to some people. Are you familiar with the whole notion of Ruga?
Yes. Yeah. Yes, I've been to Ruga, yes. I go to Ruga, yes. And I even have Ruga at the back of my estate where I live.
Okay.
And
Okay.
I go to see them there, and I've never had problems.
Okay. So Ruga.
What I want you to understand is, will you like somebody to come into your office where you are sitting, sir, now, and say they've employed a new staff to come and start doing the same work that you are doing? You will not be comfortable.
Okay. Okay.
Yes, that's what you have to understand.
So do you understand when the federal government says, Hajia, that this is just to extend the idea that you've just said you have in your backyard all over the country, where they are agreeable?
Sir, if they are going to give them a land as their own Ruga, a land, a space where they will do it, and it will be well secured, believe you me, the Nigerian Fulanis would agree.
Okay.
And if they are going to make sure that it's our own people, our own Fulanis, that will secure that they will give them the Ruga, yes. But other people coming from other countries, they are coming with their thing. And let me give you one secret if you don't know. Most of all those people in House of Reps, Senate, all these rich people, they have their kettles and they bring them into Nigeria. And during Salah, they sell it. Other times, they sell it. They are all business people. They know what they are doing. They are not ready to say the truth, but the poor Fulanis, the poor other ones are suffering. They know.
Thank you very much, Hajia. Thank you for calling in the program. Interesting perspective. Okay, we started off with that kind of a personal view, from someone who, as she put it, I have Ruga in my backyard here. Let's go to a quick break, and then we'll come back and sit down and talk about it a bit more with a guest. And of course, we're going to sort of defer, especially to calls from you viewers at home on this, to give us your impressions on Ruga and why there is so much suspicion. And the whole idea about our own Fulanis, going by what Haji has just said, as opposed to other Fulanis. How significant, how important is this in this whole program of the federal government to sort of, as it put it, get rid of the problem once and for all of open grazing while we're at it? Stay with us, please. Okay, welcome back, and thank you for joining us. If you've just arrived, started a few minutes ago, and Hajia Hosseina from Abuja actually kicked off the program by telling us her perspectives on Ruga. As far as she was concerned, she'd heard of Ruga before. In fact, as she put it, I have one in my backyard, and it's no big deal. As long as there will be our Fulanis, her words, and not Fulanis from outside, whatever that means. As I was saying, you already know, Ruga, we've been told, is the name given for rural settlements, colonies of herdsmen. In fact, I think Garbashi even added that it's not even just about animal farmers alone. Also, cattle is for animal farmers, not necessarily cattle herdsmen alone, implying that other animals, there's pig farming, there's, I don't know. So here we are. There seems to be a lot of concern. In fact, people have even used the word hysteria. 11 states have so far signed up, meaning indicated their interest in the program. But as I was saying, other states and other regions are saying, don't bring it here. And so the perspective of government perhaps is, so what do you want? You don't want open grazing. We don't want open grazing. And then we don't want ideas to remove the problem and settle people, in a safe sort of a way, transparently, openly. I don't know. But our guest this morning, Curtis Adigba, one of them. Thank you very much for coming on, Curtis. And you heard that exchange between Hajia Hosseina and myself. What would be your thoughts on the Ruga this whole Ruga program that has given rise to, from my perspective, deep suspicion? If Ohaneze Ndigbo is saying that we don't understand it, it's not coming to our area, Yoruba socio-cultural groups have said, don't even try. I was saying the other time that Southern and Middle Belt Leaders Forum has spoken. ACF, Arewa Consultative Forum, by the way, they see it differently. They say, look, this is a sensible idea. Give me your thoughts.
Okay, thank you for having me. Of course, you understand this is a very sensitive issue.
Indeed.
Because it has to do with bias or different groups in Nigeria, not necessarily the substance or the truth of the issue. And when hysteria and bias are fronted in dealing with a concrete issue, what you find is that the issues themselves are diluted and take the back seat, while hysteria and group biases take over the conversation. Now, what is Ruga? Simply means rural grazing area, And how did it come about? It came about because we've been having a national security problem. The movement of certain group of people in different areas of the country in pursuit of their legitimate business, but in the process, interfering and trespassing into other people's economic rights, and then breeding this incessant conflict that needed to be resolved. Okay, so for a long time, we've been politicizing the issue of insecurity and talking about, trying to situate crime to a particular group of people. And the federal government has been blamed for so long. Oh, the government is doing nothing about it. Okay, they've allowed this same set of people to go around, kill our people, rape our women, destroy our property, destroy our livelihood and all that. And so government has been saying, we are coming, we're looking for solution. Meetings have been held, and several attempts have been made to come to certain agreement. Now, Ruga is just one of them, which is an attempt to really bring solution. Now, the beautiful thing about this is that there is no compulsion on any state to accept Ruga. And to tell you something, the idea is not even a new idea. Previous governments in this country had also tinkered with setting up ranches in different states.
Because Ruga is supposed to be the precursor of the whole ranching,
Yes.
Bringing ranching into fruition.
Yes, an attempt to prevent movement of these breeders of animals from just going around and then having to have problem with their host communities and all that. And you understand why. Look, I grew up in a village. The last time I went to my mom's place where I grew up, the place that we used to farm for my grandmother, have houses and people living in there because of population growth. So this conflict is going to exist. So the federal government has come up with a solution. And I am not surprised that that solution is not acceptable to all because of the politics of it and because of suspicion that has become a national item on our diet. So this is exactly where the problem is. Now, look at Isheri by the Lagos-Ibadan Express here. We already have a Ruga there, if you understand what I mean. It's a big, large expanse of land where you have Fulani, the cattle rearers, marketers. It's a huge economy. It's a huge economy in the place. You have local government people collecting their taxes. You have the local people collecting what they call grant tax, from buyers of animals and all that. So it's a huge economy that is going on there. Has anyone then declared an emirate in that place? You understand? There is no community in this country that you go that you don't find Fulanis. And you have, wherever you find them, they have their group and you can reach out to them if there are issues to be discussed. So I understand, that politics is playing a frontal role while policy is taking the back seat here. And that is because when you look at the whole thing, it comes down to one simple thing: suspicion and intolerance. I am not saying that the Fulanis are completely innocent and they have no problems of their own. But then tell me the group in this country that don't have any problem.
When the first caller, and so far only, had said that her apprehension about this whole thing was that if we were dealing with what she referred to as our, meaning Nigerian Fulanis, she didn't think there was that much of a problem. But then she said, that other Fulanis would come in could complicate matters, and then no, it's like all bets will be off. You were here when she spoke.
Yeah.
Could you appreciate, because you look, there are Fulanis up and down the West African coastline, and you know that all of that. First of all, is that a credible concern to you?
I don't think she's out of order, given what she said. The reason being that we also have had our president. We have Mr. President himself has told us at some point in this country that we have violent people who are coming into the country from Libya and some other places, okay, and that there could be the reason why we have these clashes, you know, and so he promised that the government was going to move in and ensure that the insecurity is nipped in the bud. So, I mean, so to that extent, you could say that Hajia is not too far from the truth, if the leadership of the country has also alluded to that fact.
One moment, please. I think I'm going to have to break this for a while, because we're receiving reports of an accident very close to us in Lagos, southwest of the country, in Alakwere area. And TVC correspondent Bose Omorui is actually there right now. Good morning, Bose. Can you hear us? Bose, good morning. Good morning, Bose. Hello, Bose. Good morning. Okay. Can you tell us where you are and what the accident is?
All right, this incident well started at about 8:15, 8:30.
Where are you? Where are you, Bose?
Eyewitness we spoke to mentioned that he noticed, okay, I'm at Alakwere bus stop. This is K2 Alakwere bus stop on the ever-busy Lagos-Ibadan Expressway.
Please continue. Please go ahead.
All right then. So an eyewitness mentioned that 33,000 liter tanker, you know, it's laden with premium motor spirits there. He noticed a leakage from one of the compartments, one of the three compartments making up that 33,000 liter, and he alerted officers of the Nigeria Police, because they have a station just at this bus stop here, and they came out, and then they also got in touch with the Lagos State Emergency Management Agency, LASMA, and the rest of them, and they came around here. If you can look behind me, you would notice some white substance on the floor. Okay, there are a number of people out there now, and you may not see that, but that's called blanketing, and that's one of the steps that the officials took to cover up and ensure that that spill doesn't extend beyond where it is. But as I speak to you at this moment, it is still leaking. Now, talking about solution, they attempted to get trucks from nearby fuel stations so that they can transload the content of this fuel tanker to that particular one. But I understand they only got a small truck which cannot take all of the content of this truck. Therefore, they resorted to, they are contemplating also on using a towing van. They have brought a towing van here, but when the van got here, the exhaust fume coming from it alone, you know, was so worrisome that they had to park it here, and they poured some water on it, trying to make the smoke go down. Maybe they can then tow it to somewhere around the toll gate, because there is some piece of land around there where it can be. But that is even dangerous, because it means that all along the road there will be spilled. But then the fire service officials are here. Their bus is here, and you know, one of the equipment they use in their work is to mix chemicals with water, such that when it touches the fuel, it loses its potency and it doesn't come up in flames. So that is what is going on. Meetings going on there, trying to agree on what can be done. But the thing is, even if they are calling for a truck, say from Apapa, it's going to be difficult for that truck to get here, and that is one option they have considered. But they say it's going to be difficult. They are still working. There's a fuel station, MRS around here. They've gone there, no truck. They've gone to Total, no truck. Meanwhile, the truck itself that has this fuel is bearing ASCON. There's no plate number on it. A while ago, we saw the driver. He's also running around.
Can you hear me?
Onto which they can transload
the
content of this. But at the moment, there's no casualty of any sort. But of course, there is traffic. People waiting on the road, trying to get vehicles to their destinations at this time.
All right, Bosse, can you hear me? Bosse, so, okay, So it does appear then that it's not an accident per se,
No,
but
it's not.
it's actually the prevention of of an accident. So well, thank you very much. We sort of we okay. So that was just we had to go there just in case. But it does appear from what our correspondent was saying there that an accident has been averted. We went there blind. We thought there was an accident, but all sort of precautionary measures are being taken. It looks like the kind of thing that you get where when they suspect when an aircraft comes into land and you douse it with these foams to prevent matters and so yeah, so no doubt as TVC News continues, you will get updates on that particular situation. But thank God an accident was prevented. No fire. We didn't see any, it wasn't a traffic accident, but it was a traffic incident perhaps. It's caused all sorts of disruptions to the traffic flow in that area. So continuing now with, and that was in Alakwere Ketu, southwest of the country. Now continuing with Ruga settlements that we're trying to understand, and perhaps trying to understand the suspicion and why government is proceeding with this, the federal government is proceeding with this at the moment. Again, presidential spokesman Garba Shehu says there's nothing wrong with the timing of it. But he did refer to unhelpful statements, as he put it, of the former president that might have sensitized people to the whole notion of a Fulanization and Islamization agenda, which Garba Shehu has said, using his words, simply impossible.
Look, like I said, government is looking for a solution. And that solution does not need to be acceptable to everybody. It does not need to be perfect. You see, a successful society is a progress machine that keeps, so those who are opposed to the idea completely should tell us what they are proposing. Do you understand what I'm saying? Because you don't just oppose and propose nothing. Now, what I hear...
But the mistrust. Yeah, Can you understand the mistrust?
Look, I understand the mistrust, but look, here's the problem. What I hear people, the argument that I hear, even from people you consider to be leaders, is that why can't the Fulani people go back to the part of the country where they come from? Why don't they go to Sambisa Forest, where they have enough land for them to do their ranching? Now, that argument is insincere. Insincere because what it does is that it takes a direct hit on the idea of a nation that is bound in unity. It might not be perfect. And let me explain. Where the
okay, sorry, sir. I will come back to you, but Ajose has called in from Victoria Island in Lagos. Good morning, Ajose.
Okay, Alex. Very good morning to you.
And thank you very much for calling in.
Gentlemen in the studio.
Indeed.
Okay, Alex, this is a very, very sensitive. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you loud and clear.
A very, very sensitive issue that must be handled with total sincerity. Otherwise, it's gonna really, really worsen the situation. I'll tell you what. As we speak, we have porous borders, isn't it? Do you know that we don't even know the exact number of who we are as in Nigerians today, census-wise? I don't know if you have a national ID, okay, that will authenticate your citizenship as a Nigerian. Then tell me, Ajihadid said, there are some other Fulanis that are the non-Nigerian Fulanis. How do you distinguish? Are you getting it? But often, I'll tell you that the fundamental is lack of trust. It's lack of trust on the part of the citizen, on the government. Okay? Now, if you realize before the advent of handsets, GSM, is it the way we're using the telephone set? Is that the way you're using GSM? No. So if you fail to educate we are putting the first thing last. What the government, not just the government of the day, what the government ought to have been doing long before now was to educate our fellow Fulani Nigerians and say, look, the way, the methodology, okay, of what do you call it, of going about your herdsmanship activity, it can no longer work in present-day modern, ways of doing this business. They fail to educate them. I wouldn't be surprised if an average, herdsman doesn't even know there's a boundary, between Nigeria and Niger or Chad. It's been their way of life. You don't blame them for that. Educate them. Tell them the moment you cross this, you're in another territory or another sovereign territory. You can no longer go around with your heads. You're getting it. Educate them, but look, this is going to be very, very difficult to solve because the trust element is key. Okay, a non-Fulani, say for Southwest, Southeast, South, just refuse to trust. So if the intent is good, is genuine, because you ask yourself exactly what do we want? Is it not peace? We need peace to reign, isn't it? So you now say, okay, fine. If we must live and we should live together as one for peace to reign, this is the way forward. But I'm telling you, I don't trust you. Are you getting it? I don't trust you. So even if I know it's the way out, okay, allow these guys settle here and do the modern ranching stuff. But I don't trust you. You want to come and grab my land. That tells the structure. There's something wrong with the structure.
Yeah.
Let's go through federal, let's form a good federated unit, okay, and let each region, if you so wish, please don't forget this is business, okay? There's nothing stopping each region from establishing a massive ranch and then recruit the herdsmen. Let them come and stay there. It's just like you have in the construction site and you have in the workers on site. Recruit them.
Okay.
Lease the land to them. Let them bring their heads there and do their business there. Okay? So the idea of, they want to come and grab our land, they're trying to create an emirate. You would have succeeded in erasing that.
Okay, then.
No
Thank you
trust.
very much, Mr. Joseph. Really appreciate your call. He did make a point, and I've heard that criticism since this conversation started, that, look, cattle rearing is a business. It's a business, and there are those who are reading these efforts as, which one is federal government's own, bringing its might to bear
So I ask you a simple
on
question.
on what essentially is a private business.
And I agree with them. But what is Nollywood? Is it a private business or a government business? Is aviation a private business or government business? Is agriculture a private business or government business? Well, we've had interventions by
How do you make the connection between, what all the examples you just
all
told
right,
of
the federal government voted some money for Nollywood for some individuals to pursue their career and talents.
Yeah, but I would suggest respectfully that...
But that's a private business. Is that a government business, Yuri?
But that, you see...
Okay, hold on.
It's
just
like,
a moment, sir. You asked me a question.
It's like sports.
No, you asked me a question. Let me.
Okay.
Look, this is not sport.
No, it isn't. And in the same way, Nollywood is not Ruga...
Listen, you own a private aircraft. I mean, you own jets.
Yes.
And you are using it for commercial purpose.
Yes.
And then jets were dropping from the sky and killing people. And the federal government say, we need to step into that sector. And they made funds available called Aviation Intervention Fund. Individuals, private businessmen, access those funds. Are those businesses government businesses? We have given loans to people, farmers. We have subsidized fertilizers in this country. Do you understand?
You see,
Look, because
maybe
you know the reason why.
Maybe I'm the person who has this problem. I think it's a bit of a stretch, and I'm just.
It's not a stretch.
It's for me.
No, so just give me the opportunity to explain to you.
Well, there's another caller on the line, and indeed, I will come back to you if you want to air it some more. Joshua in Irewole, good morning.
Good morning, Uncle Yori.
Thank you very much for calling.
Your guest.
Sure.
looking at the politics part of this matter, like we are turning everything to political discourse. I think the grandstand of some regions to say just no is more about whipping up sentiment than addressing issues.
Okay.
They have not come out to explain what is behind that no. It's just like somebody is opposing the other person. And then you now make it look like, okay, this ethnic group is fighting that ethnic group without looking at the issue on ground. We have herdsmen problems. Lives are being lost. Now, are we going to address that or not? I think the answer should be yes. We need to address it. Is Ruga one of the ideas that will be on the table?
Mm-hmm.
I think it is yes.
Mm-hmm.
Ruga is. And even, sir, without Ruga, like the first caller and your guest is already saying, we already have this thing with us. It is just that we have not given it a name at a national level. So why are we now suddenly just saying, no? Those suspicions are political. But if we continue to narrate issues along political lines, there will be no solution. Lives will continue to be lost. It's important to tell ourselves that we cannot wish away the fact that Fulanis have been living with us. I'm from Kogi State, and there's a Ruga settlement behind my dad's land. We have lived with them for, as long as I was young, getting to 50. We have all, they are there, right? They are there, they are part of the community. That's Ruga. Now, if you decide to formalize it, good, you do it well and put a structure around it. But we need to stop this loss of life so that we don't politicize this thing and make everything look like it's PDP, APC matter. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
So
very
the
much
point
for
I was
coming.
making,
Yes.
when a businessman sets up his business that has got some national security implication, the responsibility of government is to ensure that there is peace in the country, all right? So if private businessmen have herds of cattle that they are now saying is their business, and we know it's their business, and they are going around, and as a result of their operations, we have national security problem, the government can step in.
Okay. Yeah.
That does not mean that because it's a personal business, government have no role. Government shouldn't have any role at all to play. That is the insincerity about that argument. Because in the past, when government intervened in other sector, what about the SMEs? Are they government businesses? I set up a business, government set aside funds for me to access those funds and run my business and make profit, and then add value to the economy. So would you then say, why is the government getting involved? After all, it's not a government business.
You know, just as everybody knows, you yourself have said it, it's just been said by the last caller, it's a very, very sensitive issue. And I think the big difference here is the fact that, well, there's the, if you want, sort of almost monolithic aspect of it concerns Fulani in all cases.
No.
Because, well, I know.
That's the politics.
Well, okay.
That is the way they framed the issue politically to get traction.
Because
government is even saying, this is not about Fulani alone.
It is, well, they say not about cattle herdsmen alone.
First and foremost, it's not compulsory that you must have it in your state. Number two, you can set up your own settlement, or you don't have to set up, call it whatever name you want to call, and then look.
You know, because we never had a problem with the Fulanis, if you go back, I don't know, about 50 years ago when, you know, but some,
look,
whatever happened, it happened.
You are talking about 50 years ago. Not even 20 years ago, we have this problem.
Up and down the line.
What has changed is the politics and the framing in political terms. You see, today, let me give you an example. There are more people talking about Ruga in Lagos than in Sokoto that has agreed to set up a Ruga settlement. Do you understand? And you see, the problem here, like I said, is that citizens of this country, we all have one law that regulates our activities. That's the most important law, which is the Constitution. That constitution gives you and I freedom to movement, all right? Freedom from discrimination, freedom to own immovable property in any part of the country, all right? But then when we now say to ourselves, you know, that...
But it also, that same constitution...
No, there are limits.
It also grants every person, you and I, security of our lives and our property and our farms.
That's the limit I'm coming to talk about. You see, there are limits.
And this other right you were explaining, as you know, there are times when it butts heads.
And that's where government is needed.
Okay, let me bring Abe in, and then I'm sorry, you know the nature of the program.
Yeah.
You're one of the house. Good morning, Abe. In the UK, I believe.
Yeah. Good morning.
Good morning.
Can you hear me, please?
We can hear you.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of issues that we need to address. Number one, we have to ask ourselves before we used to have a eczema problem. Was it like this before? Number one. And number two, this government, they told us that the killer eczema, as they alleged, that they were foreigners, that they migrated from outside Nigeria, that they are the one that claim people here. Did they address the issue? They haven't addressed that issue, and they want to create another problem again. That when we know that there's a foreigner that mixed with X-Men in Nigerian X-Men here. So we have a lot of issues that we need to address before we want to settle for whether open grazing or not. We have to address our time. And federal government has to complain. So, and that's another administration that alleged that they want to colonize all these things. To solve this problem, federal government needs to come clean and clean. So federal government need to come plain. So that is the way we can move forward. But sitting down, people talking. I think it will not solve our problem. So federal government need to come plain and see everything. So from there, maybe people can try to accept Ruga or not.
All
That's
right.
my contribution.
Thank you very much. And I would sort of suggest for you could consider it that part of this problem is that we're not talking about Nigerian herdsmen. We're talking about Fulani herdsmen.
And that again is a mischaracterization, because not all herdsmen are Fulanis. You have cattle. Cows being moved around.
I'm just saying that
in Lagos here,
yes,
not all of them are Fulanis.
It is well known that
you understand?
Majority of the herdsmen happen to be
like
Fulanis, but we're talking not about Nigerian herdsmen. Apart from Hajia at the very top of the program, she had said that if they are our own Nigerian Fulanis, then there's no problem. And she was alluding to the fact that
the federal government did not say they are setting up Ruga settlement for foreign Fulanis. That's not what they said. The federal government's intention is very clear. We were looking for land in different states of the federation that you could refer to as a settlement for businesses of all people involved in herdsmen business. That's what they said. And they don't have to be Fulani. They can even be the local people themselves.
But because of the mistrust,
look,
people immediately zero in that,
mistrust is not a natural...
Fulanization and Islamization.
You know what? Mistrust is not a natural thing. It is people. It's created by people using biases, innuendos, stories. You understand? And people grow up into these things. Look, we all know that in our various communities, we've always had the Fulanis living with us. And that relationship had not always been a perfect one. We've had clashes, but then there were mechanisms for resolving these clashes. Now, the point I was trying to make before the call came in...
But you were saying that over-politicization of these
of the problem.
issues has created a problem.
Yes.
And I'm afraid while we're speaking, Okoroji in Lagos has come on. Good morning, Mr. Okoroji. Okoroji.
Yes, my dear.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Oh, please go ahead. We can hear you now.
It's about this Ruga thing that the federal government is sponsoring. And, yes, sir. Good morning. My brother, Yuri, good morning, and I salute your guest. This Ruga settlement issue is part of the system of the old northern Nigeria to dominate other parts of the country. Tell us one country in the world where it is practiced that there is a problem of herdsmen who need land. Can they give a marketplace of such magnitude of land to the Igbos and the Yorubas, all the 36 states of Nigeria? The Igbos are traders. Can they be given the same amount of land to come with their families and children, build a village in each state of Nigeria? This issue is an issue that Nigeria must take very, very cautiously to treat. Otherwise, it will be the end of Nigeria. Because you don't extend. Because today, look at the Okada riders in the southwest, the southeast. They are all Fulanis. We don't know who they are. Nobody knows. Because they speak Fulani language, because they speak Hausa language. We don't know whether they are Nigerians or not Nigerians. So they are feeding Nigeria with Fulanis from other west coast of Africa.
Okay, Mr. Okoroji. Thank you very much for calling in, Mr. Okoroji. We really appreciate your call.
Yuri,
but we have to be a bit careful with what we say.
This is the kind of fat-free campaign that Nigerians embark on that is creating our problems. How can you say all the Okada riders in the southwest are Fulanis? Where is he getting his data from?
That was a bit of a generalization.
Now, look, the point I'm going to make, and I was making is, look, I live in Lagos, okay? The land where I have my house was acquired from a Yoruba family by the Lagos state government before it was given to me. As a citizen of this country, in pursuit of my right to acquire immovable property, I've got to live within the laws.
I hear you. The point you're saying is perfectly well understood. But so why patriots, nationalists, take former President Obasanjo? He's the guy who raised the alarm.
He's been overtaken. It's because he's been overtaken by partisan politics. And see, look, I said this before.
You think so?
That great leaders don't necessarily emerge during the best of times in their country. It is during the worst of times that great leaders emerge.
So you think that's why?
And what they do is to rise above the divisive politics of hate and exclusion to try and find common grounds and bring people together. Do you understand? That is what leadership. Look, the fact is that those who want change hardly do enough to bet the change, according to Machiavelli. So leaders who have the resources of everybody will rise above the common fears.
Okay.
Look into the future and say, this is where we should be going. Look, this issue, the way different parts of the country, regions, different ethnic groups are talking, puts the entire country on a slippery path. Because tomorrow, some governors will say, okay, this kind of business that this group of Nigerians who are not from our state are doing in our state is no longer acceptable to our people.
Okay,
and so they have to leave.
Yakub, good morning and thank you for holding on.
Thank you, Chief. And good morning to Mr. Adiba.
Morning to you.
Chief, please, just give me some minutes quickly. Chief, our problem in this country is our political leaders, so-called leaders, quote and unquote. Because if they are true leaders, they will not cause any problem for us in this country. Why am I saying that? They are saying that Fulanization of this country, Islamization of this country. Underline that two statements. It can never happen. That is number one. Number two, if you see some people putting on agreement that Ruga of a thing, it is a Fulani to take their land. Ask those people to provide alternative to that Ruga or ranches. They have never provided any alternative. We are talking about people killing in this country, and then government come up with a solution. And then you people are still saying that solution, it is not good. Let me give you a typical example here, Chiviori. I, as a Yoruba person, my elder brother, do you know that this Fulani of a thing that we are talking about, in my place, they have been living with us, God knows why, God knows time. We are together for almost, in fact, I grown up knowing them. As I'm talking to you today, Chiviori, my elder brother have almost 80 to 100 cattle. in my village. Why? Because we liars with those Fulanis that will living together with us. And then do you know that when he bought those cows then, if the cow give birth to one cow, first birth, my brother will take that one. The second birth go to the Fulani person that help him to manage those cows. As his festival is upcoming now, Ileya as our festival. Do you know my brother always take cow? So we are family. The car that I'm going to open market to get at 80,000 naira, because it's my elder brother, he will sell that same cow to me 40,000 or 50,000 naira. He made the money. And then when we are talking about Ruga, what do you call trade fair in Lagos? What do we call that trade fair? The 95% of tribes that living in trade fair in Lagos today, it is from one part of this country. What will you call that? It is also a Ruga. Government is now telling us that, okay, let's settle these people in order for us to prevent clash between heirs and farmers. And then you are now telling us that settle them, they are going to take in our land. Do you know, Chief Jori, if they decide some of Southwest, Chief Jori, you see, sometimes I do question you, sir. There are those Afenifere leaders. How they become our leader? And the Yoruba person who fought for them to become our leader. There were not saying that they don't allow Ruga to settle down in the Southwest. Who said them? My brother is in business, and then we have been together with these people, and then they are managing my brother's cow. And who tell you it's only Fulanis where the cattle? My brother has almost 80 to 100 cattle, and then he was never managed it by himself. They managed it for him, and then he was able to say that this Ruga of Averting to be the best thing, because when they are rallying the cattle supposed to get fat. But because of the movement from one place to another, the cattle does not provide what we need. You understand what I'm saying now? So the way out is this. Chief Jori, whatever you have opportunity to have those people against this Ruga, ask them, they should give us the alternative. They don't have the alternative. The alternative that they don't have, they rather politicize it. They are saying and then, Chief Jori, all this is because our president is a Fulani man. Why is that? It is hatred. The last time the Goodluck Ebele Jonathan is the president of this country, he's also a Mieti-Allah president. And then we are not talking about that. They are saying that Mr. President is a Mieti-Allah president. He's a Mieti-Allah grand commander. Chief Goodluck Ebele Jonathan is also a grand commander of Mieti-Allah. They don't talk about that. So they should give us alternative. They don't provide alternative. What are we talking about? Thank God bless you.
All right then. Thank you very much, Yakub.
Yeah,
a very sensitive.
You know the
ball.
point. Look, the point I was making is that the confusion you see all over the country on this issue is coming from the political leadership,
indeed,
and those who support them,
and
not the ordinary people.
I have even heard it said that, look, depending on how you want to look at it, that this is really to make President Buhari's, time as difficult as possible, because this will be a distraction.
And I can tell you, those who are making that point are right, and right on the spot. Just imagine for a moment if Atiku had been elected president, a Fulani man also. Would the people calling for the elimination of Fulani from their parts of the country do that? Those who supported him.
Because he's of a different political party.
Because he's of a different political party.
You're saying that's the difference.
So
all of this is essentially political.
Yeah, it's political, it's personality, and not policy.
Okay.
Because you see, the problem is that even when the former President Jonathan muted this, the idea about ranching. And then made a budget for it that disappeared, what nobody knows, people didn't oppose it.
Okay.
But because you now have a president who is of a Fulani ethnic group and who has been accused of being an extremist, an Islamist who was coming to set Nigeria on fire. But I will tell Nigerians something. An explosion usually do not start with an explosive.
Okay.
You lit a small candle, it could lead to a bang.
Okay.
Let's be careful how we move forward in this country as we politicize security.
Indeed, and that's one way to look at it, security. Yeah. Because there is insecurity in the land, there is the component of it that is banditry, everybody's calling everybody else names.
And all Nigerians are involved. Look, there is no crime
we're going to have to leave
there's no crime that is specific to the Fulanis alone.
Exactly.
You have kidnappers from all groups. You have armed robbers from all groups. You have killers from all groups. But what we do now is that whatever happens in any part of the country, Fulani herdsmen.
Okay, we've done no more than really barely scratch the surface. But the point that I think is well taken is that it's a very, very sensitive issue.
Very sensitive.
That does require extreme caution as we move forward. And as has been said by Yakub, just said it, what are the alternatives? Let's hear those and let's talk about those.
Yes.
And then at the end of the day, it's a program, and it's not, quote unquote, by force.
It's not by force.
Voluntary.
Yeah. And the land will be given by state government.
And if you don't want to sign up,
Don't
no
sign up.
compunction to sign
Yes.
up. Curtis Adigba, thank you very much for coming.
Thanks for having me,
and
as
sharing your
always.
perspectives with us. Okay, so that's our program. Please join us tomorrow for a fresh edition. I am Yori Folari. Bye-bye for now.